wish that I could change what you wanted. I wish that I could change what you wanted. I wish that I could change what you wanted. I wish that I could change what you wanted. I wish that I could change what you wanted. Why we always looking for more? Why we always looking for more?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome here to the home of the Brickyard. This is Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and it's our 29th race of the 5th season of the NNSCRA Duracell Cup Series. More importantly, it's playoff race number 3, which means it is elimination race number 1. After the checkered flag waves today, we will have whittled down the field from 10 playoff teams to 8. 2 drivers, 2 teams, that is, will be eliminated from advancing into the next round and battling for the championship. Who will those drivers be? We are going to be finding out very, very shortly. But this is the last of our 4 Crown Jewel races. We've already, of course, run the Daytona 500, the Charlotte Motor Speedway Coke 600, if you will, and the throwback race at Darlington. So this is the last opportunity for a driver to be able to snag a Crown Jewel event checkered flag. And here today, it's going to be interesting to see just exactly what type of Indianapolis race we're going to have. Will it be a race of attrition? We've had a couple of those in the past. Or will it be a race of pit strategy? We've had a few of those as well. It is overcast today, which would mean that normally you'd get a little bit more grip in the corners, and maybe we'll see a lot more green flag racing today than what might be expected if this track had been completely bathed in sunlight for the entirety of the day. But, you know, we're going to find out the same time that you guys do, and these drivers will be finding out as well as soon as they throw their machines into turn number 1. But before we get started, let's show you what the playoff standings look like coming into this race. Right now, the 77 team sitting in a very good situation. They right now have the points lead after 2 playoff races. And as you can see, they are currently 24 points ahead of the cut line. Now, that's not to say that they are mathematically safe. They could easily here today, with a bad performance, fall outside of the top 8. But with it being 29 drivers in the field and 24 points between them and the cut line, odds are they are more than likely safe to move on to the round of 8. It's also been a very good round for the 0-9 team as they come into this one a total of, I believe that's 17 points ahead of the cut line. So they also could be in a good situation if they can at least finish up inside of the top 15. But then it starts to get a little bit interesting. All these other teams are not necessarily in trouble, but if they end up having a DNF today, they could very well be in trouble. The 19 team right there, They're a total of 12 points ahead of the cut line, 11 points ahead of the cut line for the 95 team. Then it's only 8 points out of the cut line for the 78 team. That team has really struggled here this first round. They ended up getting those bonus points for being the regular season champions, and they also had 3 victories, which gave them 15 bonus points, 5 points apiece for each win. So they had 30 bonus points coming to this one. They're now sitting after 2 races in the 5th seed. That definitely means they have not had the performances they've been looking for. Of course, last week we ended up seeing the contact between teammates with Ryan Butcher and Patrick Smith out of Auto Junction Racing, so we'll see if any of that rolls over into today. Then you've got the 31 team. They're currently only 3 points ahead of the cut line, and then only 1 point ahead of the cut line apiece is the 93 and the 47 teams, as you've got Haas Racing's number 8, which is Dave Campos, the driver today, is the cut line driver right there. And then you've got the 55 team, Anthony McCurry, doing the driving duties. Mentioned this last week, more than likely with the performances they've had the last 2 weeks, they are going to probably be in a must-win situation here today. It's not a definite must-win situation, as right now they are 23 points behind the cut line, but same deal as like how the 77 has that 24-point gap back to the cut line. Unlikely they're going to fall out. For the 55 team being 23 points behind the cut line, unlikely they're going to point their way in. They are probably going to have to win here today. It's going to be 64 laps of racing in today's event at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, as it's going to be Vitz Almriego lining up on the pole position. He'll be joined by RJ Bishop. Both of these drivers looking for their first win of the season. For Almriego, looking for what I believe is going to would be the second win of his career. For RJ Bishop, he's still looking for his very first win in Duracell Cup Series competition. But we're going to go down trackside for pre-race ceremonies, get these engines fired, and get today's race from the Brickyard underway. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Drivers, start your engines!
The 29 car field will roll off of the front straightaway behind the pace car. And we'll now give you your starting lineup for today's race from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Vince Almriego, the pole sitter, alongside of RJ Bishop. JT Bryant will be the highest starting playoff contender. He'll be third alongside Andrea Serra. Trent Dunham is joined in row 3 by Chris Washer. Anthony McCurry, must-win situation as we documented, rolls off P7. He's alongside of Daniel Bouchard. Sean Art and Charles Belding, couple of playoff contenders there, going to be completing the top 10 in row 5. Allison Rain and Stephen Colon, they're in row 6. Stephen Colon is the cut line driver coming into this race in the 47. Matt McIntyre, Bruno Harumi, they're in row 7. Stephen Pollard III. Last time these drivers were on track, took that checkered flag back at the Auto Club Speedway for his first career win. He's in row 8 with Ryan Brommer. Row 9, Zach Rogers and Danny Wells. And the top 20 going to be completed by Jessica Shelton and Bradley Ream. William Micros and Dave Campos, couple playoff contenders, make up row 11. Chris Dollerton, the former champ, and Tristan Allen In row 12, Zachary Fitzwater, Diego Yepes, the 78 car. We talked about how they've been on a bit of a skid as of late. They're back in the outside lane of row 13. Jose Mills and William Brocker in row 14. And Nathan Ormond will bring up the rear in the 29th position. 4 former winners here that are still in the series, but none of them in the field. Dylan Pote took the inaugural checkered flag here back in Season 1. Austin LaPlante, Season 2. Michael Norman in Season 3. And Jacob Thibodeau was the defending winner of this race, but none of those 4 drivers are in the field here today. Their team cars, their teammates are, so you gotta wonder what advice was given. We'll see if it's put to good use as down the long straight towards the yard of bricks. Vince Almriego leads us towards the flag stand. Green flags in the air. Let's roll. Super tight corners here at Indianapolis. Not a lot of banking. See if these guys can keep it clean and green as JT Bryant pushed up the track a little bit there through the center of 1 and 2. Gonna muscle his way to the top position in that FedEx Toyota Camry. Trent Dunham now gonna look to the inside for second, maybe for the lead if he can get to the left rear quarter panel of JT Bryant, which it looks like he will do so. 1 week removed from Cody Lamas picking up his first win of the season at Road America. Trent Dunham trying to make it back-to-back wins for the 1 team out of M&M. Anthony McCrory now for second place on JT Bryant. He'll get the spot. Sean Art following in his tire track. Sean looking for his 3rd win on the season as a rookie. And Chris Washer right there as well in the 44. That's going to be a battle for P3. Allison Rain wanted the spot, but now gets crossed over for 5th by JT Bryant. Top 4 have gotten themselves single filed out. 5th place still under contest. There's Matt McIntyre. Matt McIntyre now an Arizona resident, but he was formerly from the Indianapolis area. So I guess a technical maybe home track victory if he were able to take the checkered flag here today. There's SP3 along with Jessica Shelton. The S3 Motorsports cars light up nose to tail as they'll make their way around Allison Rain. Ran out the 65 going the wrong way. Chris Washer, Sean Art. A couple of teams that were formed after the Daytona 500 going at it for the 3rd spot. As Anthony McCurry has closed in on Trent Dunham. Might have a battle for the race lead here in just a few moments. Lost a little ground there through 3 and 4. Did McCrory will drop a little bit further back as I see some playoff contenders side by side. William Micros in the 93, former winner this season from Manassas. Charles Belding in the 19, trying to advance that Chevrolet to the round of 8. Of course, Carson Gum, the defending champion of the series, having to kind of sit back and watch to see if he'll be advancing into the next round of the playoffs as he looks to be a back-to-back champion here in Duracell Cup Series competition. Belding again, big run out of turn 2 to the inside of Micros. This is a battle right now for the 10th position. Pole sitter Vince Almriego has now dropped back to the 12th spot. There you see him, the Sun Energy Chevrolet. Top 9 all single file, double file formation here from 10th place on back. Now it's going to be Chris Dollerton diving low on Vince Almriego to take that 12th position. Allison Rain has finally gotten back to the inside line. She's going to follow in Dollerton's tire tracks, move her up to 13th. And Dave Campos in the 8 car, 1 point behind the cut line coming into this one. Just moved up into 14th place. Now looking for 13th on Allison Rain. Belding continues to battle with William Micros, and up ahead we've got some battling going on. Sean Art left the door open for Chris Washer. That's 3rd place under contest. Then behind them, 5th place, Jessica Shelton, JT Bryant. wadded up and congested from the 3rd position back to around 9th. As the top 2 have gotten away, and we've got an exchange for the lead. Anthony McCurry, the Panda Express Chevrolet, has made his way around Trent Dunham and gone to the front. What kind of pressures has there got to be for McCurry coming into a race like this, as prestigious as this, and saying, all right, you got to win this race? Now, as long as he's running ahead of the 8 and the 47, there is a possibility. I mentioned it at the top of the program. It's unlikely, but there is a possibility that the 55 can point its way in. But they would have to finish 13 positions ahead of the 8, and then they would have to finish 16 positions ahead of either the 93 or the 47. Well, that's not going to be the case for the 93, as right now they're running up inside of the top 15. Just saw Trent Dunham take the lead back from Anthony McCurry. But what about the 47 car? Stephen Colon started this race from 12th. And where is he running right now? There he is. He, last time by, was scored in 19th. Which means if McCurry were to win, if Stephen stayed right there, the former winner, the 47 could be on the outside of the cut line. Still a long ways to go in this one, though. A lot of moving pieces, and I saw Jessica Shelton has actually reeled in the top 2 in the 03 car. 09 team out of S3 Motorsports has been to victory lane twice this season. Kyle Matthews at Martinsville and Stephen Pollard III at the regular season finale at Auto Club, but Shelton, Deaver, and Sanford, none of those drivers have yet gone to victory lane here in the 03 car. Maybe today is the day. Shelton got around McCurry for second, and now looking to get the spot from Trent Dunham. She's got one of the fastest cars on the racetrack right now. Ooh, McCurry got really close to that left rear quarter panel, though. Coming off of turn 4, he'll look to side draft, and I think he'll be able to down this front stretch. And then here comes Chris Washer and Bruna Harumi. They've now been able to kind of break away from that little group further back, and look at the momentum they're carrying down the front straightaway. They had a huge run into turn 1. They just didn't have anywhere to go with it. 44 has a win this season with Reggie Fogelman. 21 team, though, out of No Limits Racing. They're still looking for their first win of the season. Bruna Harumi has more than likely been the most consistent driver out of that team. He's had a couple of top 5 finishes here, and running well again in that Milka Ford Mustang. Battle for second is the battle going on right now at the front. Trent Dunham not really having to defend as of yet. Now Shelton trying to get a run down this front straightaway, looking to the inside. Can she do so? Not quite there yet. She wants that top position, it looks like. As I think the caution may be out. It is. Caution is out for the first time today. And it'll take place on lap number 9. So a good long green flag run right there before we see our first yellow flag of the day. Let's see who it was for. Oh, Matt McIntyre. The 27 car, and appears maybe some damage as well on pole sitter Jack Mitchell, front end damage on the 78 of Diego Yepes. And remember, we've already talked about the poor performances the last couple of weeks by the drivers of that 78 team. Now he's going to have to deal with some aero damage. Oh yeah, there's a lot of damage on that Sun Energy Chevrolet of Vince Almriego after starting on the pole position. Let's go back and see what happened. Looks like I saw some skid marks there in, was that the middle of 3 and 4. Pits will be open this time, by the way, so we'll try and document who won the battle off pit lane. And ooh, yeah, they hadn't really gone 3 wide all day so far, and unfortunately they did this time between McIntyre, Vince Almriego, and Zachary Fitzwater. Fitzwater going to push up the track. Car on the outside line is obviously going to be the one that pays the price. McIntyre goes around and then going to sandwich the 01 up into the wall. And there's where Diego Yepes got his damage on the Monster Energy Toyota Camry. That was pretty close towards the rear of the field. That was roughly a battle around the 24th, 25th position. So fortunately, nobody else was caught up in it. Let's take another look here from the onboard of the 78 car of Diego Yepes, the two-time winner this season. Something must have drastically happened to Matt McIntyre there on that last lap, because he was scored in the 12th position. And as we mentioned, that battle back there was just outside of the top 20. So I'm not certain what happened on that lap to send him all the way back like that. He may have gotten the wall. Let's see if he indeed did perhaps get the outside retaining wall or something here, because I'm not certain how he dropped back as quickly as he did. Let's look here off of turn 2. Almiriego's running behind him. He and Almiriego were losing spots right here anyway. Let's see if their handling was going away, and if Matt McIntyre drifts up the track. Ooh, he may have gotten a little contact right there with Daniel Bouchard, and ooh, nope, doesn't get the wall there. But certainly not running in the optimal groove way up the racetrack, and losing a ton of grip, a ton of position. So, saw right there that bump on the back straightaway with our slow cam. It's even more prevalent of just how wild a ride it is for these drivers. Alright, so pit stops completed. Trent Dunham won the battle off of pit road, and he'll be the one to lead us back to green. Bruna Harumi with a solid stop. She's going to restart second. Jessica Shelton in third. Sean Art will be fourth. Jose Mills in fifth. And Anthony McCurry lost a few spots. He's going to be back now in the sixth position. Daniel Bouchard will be scored seventh. Dave Campus, Charles Belding, and Stephen Pollard the third. Look like they're going to be the top 10 when we go back green. We should get the lights out on the pace car next time by. Let's take the opportunity to give you a full field rundown of who is where after the pit stops were completed. Chris Dollerton will be 11th, Bradley Riemann 12th, William Micros 13th, 14th Chris Washer, Tristan Allen in 15th, Stephen Colon 16th, Zachary Fitzwater is 17th, 18th JT Bryant, 19th Ryan Brommer, and Nathan Ormond will complete the top 20. Ali Rain is back in 21st, 22nd RJ Bishop, 23rd William Brock, 24th Danny Wells, Zach Rogers in 25th, 26th Andrea Serrett, Diego Yepes in 27th, Matt McIntyre 28th, Vince Almiriego 29th. Obviously 27th through 29th, no surprise. Those drivers got the damage it collected up in that incident that brought us our first caution of the day, but they have all made repairs. They have returned to the racetrack, and all three remained on the lead lap. So all 29 drivers that got us started here this evening will continue on the upcoming first restart of the day. Should see those lights out atop the pace car this time by and go back green on lap 14. Obviously, as mentioned, this is the first elimination race of the playoffs. Next week, it will be 8 teams moving on into the second round. We'll be coming to you from Hillside Raceway for the first race of round 2. And these drivers will be at their final road course stop of the season, Lime Rock, the middle ground of the second round of the playoffs. And then our second elimination race is going to be at the Arizona Speedway. So some very interesting technical tracks going to be coming up here for the second round. The question is, who is moving on, who is getting eliminated at this point in time? Based off of scoring, it would appear that the teams that would be eliminated would be the 55 and the 47. But a lot can change between now and then. The 47 picks up a couple of spots here, up to maybe closer to the top 10. It would be the 78 car. and the 55 car that would be eliminated. And we'll have to keep an eye on Diego Yepes here once we get back green to see if that aero damage on the front of the hood, if that is going to affect him. Now, it shouldn't affect him in terms of like engine power, because that appears to be basically cosmetic damage, but we have such long straights here on the front and back straightaway that you want to have your car aerodynamically sound as well. That buckle on the hood is going to be like a small parachute, taking away 1, 2, 3 miles per hour of straightaway speed, and that's going to hinder your ability to get runs and make moves going into the entry of the corner of turn 1 or turn 3. So we'll follow up on that. We'll also see how up to speed Vince Almriego and Matt McIntyre are, as most of the impact for their race cars appear to be to the rear end. As Trent Dunham will bring us down here and get us back underway at Indianapolis. Trent Dunham looking for his first win on the season. Mentioned about how last week the one car went to victory lane at Road America with Cody Lamas. And the green flag flies once more here on lap 14. Already a battle back there. That's going to be for 9th, Stephen Paul III, Charles Belding. And Belding's going to get caught out there as Dollerton gets around him, Bradley Reen gets around him, and look at SP3 making moves. Dave Campos next on his hit list. Danny Bouchard up ahead to the inside of Anthony McCrory. That's for 6th. This driver's going to have to get used to what it feels like on the fresh tires again as Bruno Harumi has thoughts about the race lead. Had a run, but needed a little bit of draft to get a push here to the inside of Trent Dunham. Instead, she'll battle with Jessica Shelton. Clears for the spot. Sean Hart follows her. Jose Mills up here at the front now. Most winless driver in the Duracell Cup Series. Slots into P4. Ahead of Shelton. McCurry held off the advance of Daniel Bouchard. He still remains in 6th position as 2nd place now under contest. I'll show the nose anyway to Sean Hart and almost paid the price for his troubles as very shallow entry there to turn 3 slid him way up the racetrack. Things rather single-filed out now all of a sudden. We saw a lot of battling going on inside the top 10 there. Tristan Allen side by side with Bradley Ream. That's for 11th place, and Ream will hang on to the spot. Belding going the wrong way in the 19 car. William Micros doing the same. Stephen Colon trapped up on that top side also in the 47. So this is good news if you're the 78 of Diego Yepes, trying to make your way back up here. A couple of positions to keep a cushion between you and that cut line. It appears the 78 is at least up to speed enough to stay in the pack. Same for Matt McIntyre and Vince Almriego. So that's good news for them, but that's also good news for the race leaders. That means that, depending on how long this green flag run goes, we would not encounter slower lap traffic. Talk about how tight these corners are. It's even worse when you're having to try and maneuver your way around drivers that are many miles per hour slower than you are, really, especially in these corners. Straightaway, not as bad. You can more than likely make the pass down the long straight before you get to the corner, but in the corners, it can get a little sketchy. Big run there by Pollard, and he did get to the left rear quarter panel of Jose Mills going into turn 3, so he'll move into the 3rd spot. McCrory looks to fill that gap. Couldn't quite do it. I think he checked up a tad there too as his car was about to push up. Chris Dollerton right with him there in the 32. McCurry in a must-win situation. You got to wonder if maybe he went to some drivers here this week and said, hey, I know that in the end of the race it's every man for himself, but would you be willing to work with me, keep me up at the front through the entirety of this race? And right now he's been doing a pretty good job of that as we were nearly 3 wide. Bradley Green, Chris Washer, and Ryan Brommer. Washer, I think, was the one that backed out of that. He was in the middle of the 3 wide situation down the back straightaway. And now Dollarton is the inside of McCrory for a spot inside of the top 5. Dollarton, the former champion. Of course, we mentioned this back at the end of the regular season. Only one of our 4 previous defending former champions with a shot of being a multi-time champion, that being Carson Gum, Chris Dollarton, Ryan Acosta, Jordan Lopez. None of them advanced into the playoffs. 3 wide again. I think it might have been the same 3 individuals again. Washer, Ream, and Brommer. Maybe Zach Rogers was one of those participants, as he's now up, I believe, inside of the top 10 with that move. A few weeks removed from Jacob Thibodeau picking up his victory. Whoa! Contact! Tristan Allen, Daniel Bouchard, and Bouchard all sorts of out of shape there. May have brushed the wall off of turn 4 as well. That was very nearly our second caution of the day. Nice job of hanging on to it, but you can see there is, I believe, some left side damage on the 39. Right around where the contigs would be, behind that left front wheel. Don't know about Tristan Allen with any right side damage. But that was a close call, but Zach Rogers mentioned that he's a former winner this season at Pukaka, and the 6th car was in victory lane a couple of weeks ago at Richmond with Jacob Thibodeau. We've had an exchange for the lead. Trent Dunham, who's led 18 laps up to this point, now loses the top spot to Stephen Pollard III. Bruna Harumi was looking for 2nd, but Dunham holds her off for the time being. And Stephen Pollard III looking for back-to-back victories in his starts. Mentioned he won the regular season finale at Auto Club. That locked the 09 into the playoffs. You know, it's interesting too, because we have 10 drivers in the last 2 weeks out of a 29-car field with an opportunity of winning their way into the playoffs. And we basically mentioned the word points here tonight because no driver, no team coming into this first elimination race has locked themselves into the round of 8 with a win. Jacob Thibodeau and Cody Lamas, our previous 2 winners from the last 2 weeks, non-playoff contenders. And so you have to wonder if down the road here, when we get to Hillside next week, Lime Rock the following week, will we see one of the then 8 drivers, one of the 8 teams, win their way into the round of 6? These are teammates lined up nose to tail here out of Pigeon Racing. Rogers in the 6, Dollarton in the 32. Tristan Allen right now, the highest running Toyota, as he's made his way now up to 7th. And if we look at drivers that have done a terrific job here today of starting at the back and working their way to the front, the 38 of Jose Mills and the 48 of William Brock would be those 2 drivers. Mills started 27th, right now running in 6th. William Brock started 28th, and right now running in the 8th position. Also, Nathan Ormond started shotgun on the field in 29th, and he is battling Ryan Brommer for the final spot inside of the top 10. Saw JT Bryant up towards the front of the field in the early going of this race in the first couple of laps, and he has since fallen quite a ways back in the field. There he is. Last time by scored in 25th. Jessica Shelton also was up there towards the front when we came to that first caution. She was, I believe, a 2nd or 3rd, and she's now all the way back here in 21st. I couldn't tell. There might have been some right side damage there. Oh yeah, definitely some right side damage on that Coca-Cola Thunder Chevrolet Camaro. So a couple of drivers we saw up at the front in the early going have faded back. Bradley Ream, we saw him up inside the top 10, as well as Charles Belding. They're now back here in 19th and 20th. There's the cut line driver, Stephen Colon. Last time by was scored in 10th. We'll see if that's the case this time by, as he might pick up a spot on Tristan Allen, running behind Chris Washer. 47 car looking good right now to advance into the round of 8 should he stay there. Still looking like the two drivers, the two teams that came in below the cut line remain there at this point in time as Dunham, his troubles continue. He's going to lose second to Zach Rogers, third to Chris Dollerton, now all the way back to fourth. Right now, according to live scoring, the 8 car and the 55 car both are the eliminated teams at this point in time unless something changes in the second half of this race, which only 25 laps completed when Pollard crossed the line this time. Still a long ways to go in this one, and because of the long green flag run, oh, caution's out. Pit road's closed, and Dunham is still coming down pit lane, as is Jose Mills. Neither one of them made the commitment line. There is a car on pit lane. Cannot tell from here who that is. Sean Art's got damage. Sean Art's blown up in the 95, so he obviously must have been part of the caution. And the other car was William Micros. William Micros and the 93 team came into this race 1 point ahead of the cut line, and just like that, they could be eliminated from the playoffs. That 95 car out of Smart Motorsports of Sean Art, that team was only 10 points ahead of the cut line, and if they DNF, they could be in trouble. Caution out for the second time today. Let's see if anybody else was involved. They did service the 38 and the 1. They will not be cycling around to the race lead. This much I can tell you because they came down to close pit road. You could see that the commitment lights were red before they even got to the commitment line. So they came down and serviced on a closed pit road. That will be an EOL penalty. Oh, damage on the front end of Stephen Colon. The cut line driver has got some damage on the hood. And pit road will be open this time for all the leaders. Is the 65 of Allie Rain staying out? Looks like she is. Maybe just trying to go one extra lap here on fuel. She is on the lead lap. She's not a lap machine. Well, actually, now I think she may have made the left-hand turn to pit road, just a very late entry. And according to scoring, Sean Art and William Micros, those cars have been pushed back into the infield, into the garage area. So just like that, in the span of, what was it, 30 seconds from when I was saying who the eliminated drivers were, the landscape has completely changed. 4 tires stopped down and away for Pollard. Side by side with Rogers and Dollerton. William Brock right behind them there in 4th, and Chris Washer's going to block Nathan Norman and Tristan Allen to come out in 5th position. So Pollard should be the leader when we go back green. Let's go back. Let's see what happened. Bring out the second caution of the day and really shuffle things up. Well, Allie Rain did stay out. Should document, so she's going to get a bonus point for lap led. Let's see where this incident took place between Micros and Arndt. I'm going to wager a guess, maybe turn 3? Well, it was turn 3, but wow. What's going on between William Micros and Dave Campos? Watch this. No 3-wide situation. 8 pushes up, 93 is kind of turning down, and the two make contact, and then watch this impact into the inside wall for William Micros. My gosh. Back up the racetrack. Oh, Bradley Ream. How did he avoid that? Sean Arndt, though, huge impact for the 95. And I don't see the 47 involved in this one, so I'm not necessarily certain how he got his damage, unless there might have been a stack up there under pacing. You know what this kind of reminds me of for Sean Arndt? It reminds me of the regular season finale at Auto Club. Remember, he was kind of riding, minding his own business, and Jessica Shelton got spun while trying to come to pit lane out of turn 4 And whose path did she spin up into? Sean Art took a big hit in that one. So I want to go on board here with Bradley Ream because I don't know how he wasn't collected up in this one. Let's listen if he even breathed the throttle or if he was still in the gas. Well, he wasn't in the throttle, but he wasn't on the brakes either. And you can see right there, Trent Dunham and William Micros. Or make that Jose Mills coming to pit lane, and the lights on the caution lights there at the entrance of pit road are clearly on. Let's follow this again. I mean, we saw it live. But watch this, coming down pit lane. Now, granted, you can't really turn your car back up to the right on a dime. You did have some space to the commitment cone to be able to maybe try and merge back onto the track, but both the 1 and the 38 committed to pit road when the lights were clearly red, and I don't understand that because that should be a penalty. Now, the question is it going to be a penalty that they'll have to serve once we go back green, or is it going to be a penalty here and now under pacing? Because that could also be something that could take place here coming down a closed pit lane. Do they get black flagged for that? Did they have to spend an extra 30 seconds in their stall? Because if you look at our timing and scoring right now, Allie Rain did not come to pit lane. Doesn't look like she's planning to come to pit road at all. She's going to be off sequence with everybody in the field. But Trent Dunham's in second, and Jose Mills has scored third. So we'll see once the green flag dropped if the 1 and the 38 might have to dive onto pit lane to serve a pass-through. If that's the case, that is a tough break there for Trent Dunham, who has been up front all day, has led the most laps up to this point, 18 in total. Jose Mills just now making his way up into the top 5 after he started this race at the rear of the field. So 2 drivers out of the race. We documented them already, Sean Arndt and William Micros. 2 playoff contending teams. So what does this mean for the 8 and the 55, who were drivers and teams below the cut line? Well, right now, for the 8, he just has to finish in the 27th position or higher, and he will take a playoff spot away from the 93. If he finishes higher, does Campos, he could potentially knock out the 95, which means he would have to finish in 17th or better. And then that would open up the door for the 55 of Anthony McCurry to maybe try and knock the 93 out and take his spot, but he would have to finish in 5th position or higher. He basically has to finish in the top 5. Now, McCurry does have a lap lead as well. Let's remember that. So that is a bonus point that will aid him. Neither Arndt nor Micros led a lap in this one, so they do not have a bonus point to fall back on in terms of positioning. Getting ready to go green. Lap 30 will go on the board, giving us 35 laps to go here at Indianapolis. Still a long ways to run. And Allie Rain, who hasn't been to pit road since all the way back on lap, I believe it was lap 13, will lead us back to the green flag. Trent Dunham diving to the inside on Allie Rain. Allie with those worn out Goodyears. A sitting duck right now. Trent and Jose both ended up changing tires when they came down pit road, but let's see. Out of turn 4, do they come to pit road? Are they able to stay out? What's the situation for first and second? If they do have to come to pit road, that'll turn the lead over to Stephen Pollard III, and no indication to pit lane, as Allie Rain's now coming down pit road. Indianapolis is one of those racetracks where it's big enough. You can come down, complete a green flag pit stop if you're close enough to the front of the field, complete that service, return back onto the track, and remain on the lead lap. So we'll see if this strategy works out for Allie Rain, who would be about 1 to 2 laps better on fuel than everybody else should this thing turn into a fuel mileage race. That also, with her coming to pit road, really split the field up. You've got about 7 drivers up in the lead pack now. William Brock and company had to check up out of turn 4 when Allie Rain made the indication she was coming to pit lane, and so they have lost touch with the top group of drivers. Dollarton now trying to move by Stephen Pollard III. He'll pick up drafting help from his teammate down the front straightaway, so they should complete the pass here. I believe that was Allie Rain just then leaving pit road, so did not remain on the lead lap with that pit stop. Gonna fall 1 lap down to the leaders. Now she's gonna have to try and merge with a pack here to maybe remain a lap down, and if then everybody has to come to pit road for a round of green flag pit stop, she would cycle back onto the lead lap. So we got to keep an eye on this group, see if they can reel in the top 7. I think it is possible. We've seen the ability to remain single file and reel in a pack much more prevalent here today than maybe we've even seen at some of our super speedways. As we'll keep an eye on the scoring on the top left of William Brock's interval to the race leader Trent Dunham. They're rather split up here, and they're racing side by side for second place, so that is going to stifle their momentum. Brock, Washer, Ream, RJ Bishop, they're all nose to tail right now, so they're creating a lot better straightaway speed than the drivers up inside of the top 7. I say that, now Bradley Ream gets a run there. Well, doesn't make the move on Washer, but that certainly isn't going to help with the straightaway speed. Going to break that momentum up just a little bit. Let's see about this time crossing the line. It was 3.74 seconds from race leader Dunham back to Brock. Let's see if it's closed or if it's opened. 3.63, so they are closing. But they are going to do it without Washer, who got kicked up there to the outside groove. Lone Dodge getting beaten up on by some Fords. Bishop, Bruna Harumi, Andrea Serra right there as well. All right, let's find McCrory. There he is, right now in the 20th position. This is not going to cut it for their ability to try and point their way in. It's got to be up inside the top 5, as we documented, to take advantage of the fact that the 95 and the 93 are back in the garage area. On the flip side, where is the 8 car right now of Dave Campos? There he is, 15th position. That would be good enough for him to advance into the next round. And we mentioned about the damage on the 47 of Stephen Colon. There he is right now in 16th place. Even with that damage, he just ran his fastest lap of the race last time by. Little sigh of relief being breathed by him with the fact that the 93 is in the garage area. The 95 is in the garage area, so a little bit of breathing space with him still running. So it looks like the 47 could be in good shape to move on to the next round. At this point in time, I would say that the 77, the 09, the 19, the 78, the 31, and the 47, as well as the 8, are all clear advancees into the playoffs. The big question mark right now is the 95 team. And I believe for the 95 team, their fate rests in what happens with the 55. If the 55 finishes inside the top 5, then it would be the 93 and the 95 that would not advance into the next round of the playoffs. But if the 55 cannot finish up inside of the top 5, then I believe it would be the 55 and the 93. That would be the 2 teams eliminated from moving on to the round of 8. But again, still a long ways to go in this race. We're not even yet to halfway. Well, actually, we are at halfway. Never mind. But my point still stands. It's still a long ways to go. 28 laps left in this race, and at least, I believe, one more pit stop in the future of these drivers, as Chris Dollarton takes the race lead. The former champion looking for the second win of the season for the 32 car. Ryan Acosta, another former champion, got the first win for the team back at Bristol Motor Speedway, coast-to-coast performance, pole to win. Zach Rogers right behind him there. Looks like these two Pigeon Racing teammates have got a system worked out to keep the rest of the field at bay. Jose Mills and Trent Dunham there. It's going to be interesting to find out, post-race, what the reasoning was for the NNSCRA officials of allowing Jose Mills and Trent Dunham to take service down a closed pit road. They never made the commitment line. The lights were clearly red. Now, if they had come down pit road and just passed through, that'd have been one thing. But the fact that they took service, that's where I'm a little bit questioning this. And then the reason I'm questioning this is, with online racing, if I were coming down pit road and the lights were red and I had not made the commitment line, I would have received a black flag penalty or a 30-second penalty on pit road. Our post-race rundown export should show if there was a penalty issued or not for these two drivers, but apparently whatever it wasn't anything that required them to come down pit lane again. So, I mean, if there was a no harm, no foul, them knowing the rules and how it works, credit to them for coming down pit lane when that caution flew. That second group has been battling, and it has hurt them. They were about 3.6 seconds back last time we checked. It is now open to 4.5 seconds. So I don't know what they're doing back there, but they need to figure it out. Now there's a pack of 3 with RJ Bishop, Bradley Ream, and Dave Campos. They're still battling back here around the 12th position with JT Bryant, Bruno Harumi and company. So they're effectively throwing away an opportunity of getting up here to battle for the race win. That time by, this trio were able to reel in the lead group by about a tenth and a half. So if they could just stay single file, they may be able to get up here. Just trying to catch the slipstream of SP3 as Trent Dunham for third on Jose Mills. So if we do the math, last caution came out around lap, 29, I do believe. 28, 29. The drivers were on pit road at lap 12, so we're looking that these guys will more than likely be coming to pit lane on the next 12 laps, I would say, maybe, max. Another big chunk gained there by this trio. That time by they gained 2/10, but exchanging positions there might lose them ground to that third pack that have gotten themselves organized. JT Bryant, Andrea Serra, Stephen Colon, Bruno Harumi. Now, it wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing for them to add more cars to that pack. The problem is, though, that third pack, I think, has got a little bit more momentum because they've got more cars than this group of 3. So if they caught them, the run would be so big, they'd have more of an incentive to go double wide, and that would then lose them ground once again. Yeah, that whatever Do-si-do, Bishop, Campos, and Bradley Ream did that lap, it did not help them. They lost a 10th. They got to stay lined up nose to tail. Now, maybe there's a issue of staying behind a car for too long, could be causing the water temp to spike, could be starting to overheat, so they're swapping positions back and forth to make sure that they can have clean air to the nose, cool those temperatures down. But you gotta do it flawlessly, as we got some pitters, I believe. Yes, we do. Trent Dunham, Jose Mills coming down pit lane. Remember, they were some of the first on pit road before that last caution came out, so looks like we're going to have another cycle green flag pit stop. This is a lot sooner than I was expecting. Maybe the fuel window's open to make it the rest of the way. Chris Washer, Jessica Shelton, Vincent Riego, Daniel Bouchard, and Diego Yepes came down this lap as well. So potentially the fuel window is open to make it the rest of the way, because this seems a little sooner than I expected. If it was just Jose Mills and Trent Dunham coming down pit road, then, I would have thought that this is the fuel window and how far they can go. But there were others that came down as well. And now, not trying to be leapfrogged with the fresher tires with the short pit strategy, Dollerton and Rogers are coming in this time. As a matter of fact, it looks like everybody is coming down this time. I don't see anybody staying out. This is going to split the field up quite a bit here too, depending on just how efficient the pit crews are. So let's follow Trent Dunham in the 1 as he leaves pit lane with Jose Mills. Let's see, with them getting up to speed here and having 1 lap fresher tires on their out lap, will Trent Dunham be able to get the race lead? He and Mills were running up in that lead pack. Look at Jose Mills, big run there through 3. Trent might have slipped up a little bit, and Jose Mills is going to move on by the 1 car, so now will he be the one to cycle to the top position? As you see, drivers leaving pit road there at the exit. So the race leader may be already heading into turn 2 by this point in time. Question is, would they be up to speed? Ryan Brommer got himself a lap led there, the 31 car, so that's important to document, as it's like he had a stall past the start-finish line. Already at this point in time, though, it looks like the 31 is safe to advance into the round of 8, but just getting that little luxury bonus point there. I don't know if that was strategic or not, or if the point just kind of fell into his lap just based on where everyone's pit stall positioning was. But Dollerton, that team, great pit stop. Same for Zach Rogers, and they're going to return back to the track first and second. 20 laps to go there at the start-finish line for the Whataburger Chevrolet Camaro. Rogers cycles to second. Third place, Jose Mills. Nathan Orman's now up to 4th. So those 2 Fords will look to reel in the 2 Chevrolets. They've also got Trent Dunham there with him in 5th. Battle for 6th, Dave Campos and Ryan Brommer. They might want to settle that out quickly, as Brommer last time by was scored in 6th, Campos in 7th. RJ Bishop right now in the 8th slot. 9th place under contest, JT Bryant will now move Stephen Pollard III back to 10th. Bradley Ream is in 11th, his teammate Stephen Colon in 12th. 13th, Andrea Serra. 14th, Danny Wells. 15th, Jessica Shelton. 16th, Chris Washer. 17th, Bruna Harumi. Danny Bouchard is 18th, 19th place, William Brock, and 20th, Diego Yepes. Tristan Allen's now back to 21st, Vince Almriego in 22nd. 23rd place, Zachary Fitzwater, Matt McIntyre 24th. Charles Belding's team and Anthony McCurry's team, very slow pit stops. They're now back in 25th and 26th. They need a caution to catch back up, as Allie Rain from 27th comes to pit lane for a regularly scheduled stop for her. She was on the lead lap, more than likely going to lose that lap here again. And if you're just joining us, 2 drivers in the garage area after we've had 2 cautions here today, and those 2 drivers, Sean Arndt and William Micros, yes, drivers that are playoff contending teams. That DNF for William Micros effectively has eliminated them from advancing into the round of 8. The jury is still out on the 2-time winning 95 team, whether they will be advancing or not. Now, at this point in time, it is certainly looking like the 95 team is safe, with McCrory mired outside of the top 20. Again, we could get ourselves a late race caution. A lot could change between now and the checkered flag. Still a ways to go, as that time by 17 laps to go here at Indianapolis for Chris Dollerton. His teammate Zach Rogers right there with him. Rogers, former winner we mentioned this season at Pukaca, wants to be a 2-time winner, but Dollerton's looking for his first victory on the season. Of course, Chris Dollerton, the inaugural champion of the Duracell Cup Series, only had 1 victory in that Season 1 championship campaign. That was at a dirt track, Fuel Motorsports Park. That was enough for him to advance into the playoffs and then just relied on consistency from that point on to eventually hoist that championship trophy. Chevrolet's now 1, 2, 3. Trent Dunham made his way around the Ford Mustang duo of Mills and Ormond, who continue side by side now for P4. I assume these drivers can make it on fuel now, but we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see if pit road will be visited one more time here, especially with the fact now the field is really, really spread out. This is a big pack of cars, though, and I'm wondering if they're going to have enough time to get up there and maybe catch the top 7. They're going to eat up Dave Campos in the 8th position. But I wonder if they've got enough cars, got enough speed, and got enough time to maybe get up there and catch Nathan Ormond, Jose Mills, Trent Dunham, and then eventually Dollerton and Rogers. Let's see this time by what the interval is. Stayed about stationary, about the same. About 8 seconds. And now with JT Bryant looking to the inside of Ryan Brummer, that's going to stifle their momentum even more. If these guys could get themselves all single filed out, they would probably be able to catch. But it's so difficult too when you consider the fact that you're running behind another driver, you get the slipstream off of them, get a big run, you've got to take that momentum somewhere. If you check up going into a corner, that 3rd, 4th, 5th driver behind in the single file line might not get the memo, and stack up can lead to chain bumping can lead to contact, and contact can obviously lead to torn up race cars. So it's dangerous to do it at super speedways, let alone at a track where the corners are so tight. The tire heat has obviously got to be through the roof with that right front, since there's not a whole lot of banking in the corners. So while it is a plausible option, it may not necessarily be an option that drivers are comfortable with. Chris Dollerton, though, if he can stay out in front here for another 5 laps, he will surpass Trent Dunham for most laps led here today. Dunham so far has led 22 laps. Dollerton's about to come around and complete his 17th lap out in front. Ali Rain has led 4 laps. Stephen Paul III has led 6, and then 1 lap apiece, led by Ryan Brommer and Anthony McCrory. And those are your lap leaders so far here today as we close in on 10 laps to go at Indianapolis. Dave Campos came into this race behind the cut line by 1 point. The DNF today by William Micros in the 93 secures them a spot into the round of 8. Cody Smart's team at Smart Motorsports was 10 points ahead of the cut line. Sean Arndt in the garage area DNF'd in the 28th position, but they would, at this point in time, be safe because they were 33 points ahead of the 55 team. They were 11 points ahead of the 8 team. So right now, Dave Campos could eliminate out Cody Smart, but Anthony McCrory in the 55 team, their gap to the 93 was 23 points. And we've already mentioned the fact that right now McCrory is running back now in the 23rd spot. He's picked up a couple of positions, but he's not even up in this group. Right there with Belding and Fitzwater trying to get up there, but they, again, we mentioned, have to finish up beside the top 5 if they're even going to have a shot of pointing their way in. The question is, too, you know, they could easily bypass the 93. But even if they did finish up inside of the top 5, I think that the 95 would still have more points than the 55. And so I think that even if it wasn't a victory, if it was inside the top 5 for the 55 team, I think the 95 would still be moving on. So right now, it looks like it will be the 93 and the 55 that will not move on to the round of 8. That's a heartbreak for both of those teams who found their momentum at different portions of the season. The 93 team got their momentum right out of the gate, race 2. Rookie William Micros picking up his first checkered flag at Manassas. Late in this season, it was Nick Gunther picking up the victory at Bristol Dirt that locked them into the playoffs. A team that was very consistent for the entire second half of the regular season and kept wondering, can they win? Because that was what they needed to do with so many different winners during the course of the year and limited space in the playoffs. But Gunther was able to do it, secure the deal, and not a heartbreaking, but a very difficult round 1 for that Gunther Motorsports team led them to a must-win situation here today. And McCrory was up front in the early going, but I don't know if it's the setup not to his liking, the adjustments, or just circumstances of maybe being in the wrong place at the wrong time in traffic, but things have not worked out to the benefit of that group. 93 team was KB Racing Enterprises' only entry into the playoffs, and they will be making an early exit as well. So tough break there for William Micros, Michael Wayne Robinson, and my mind just blanked of who the other 93 driver is. I'll remember it at some point here. Andrew Davis, that's who it is. While we're watching this, I can't really call it a battle up front between Dollerton and Zach Rogers, but one thing I'm noticing here is Dollerton is creating a lot of draft for Zach Rogers. And I wonder if that's by design, if Rogers is not making a move on Dollerton, feeling the same thing that I'm wondering of these guys maybe not being able to make it on fuel, having to come to pit road at least one more time here in the final 7 laps. If Dollerton is close on the numbers, Zach Rogers must be good to go. So it could be strategy here for Zach Rogers, allowing the 32 to create that draft, create that slipstream, and be in fuel-saving mode. It is going to be a mano-a-mano between these two, though, if fuel does not come into play, because they've got 5 seconds back to Nathan Norman and Trent Dunham, but I think Jose Mills may have hit pit road last time by. And if that's the case, then that means nobody can make it on fuel. So pit road may be visited one more time here. Let's see if our 2 leaders come down pit road. And yes, they will. Nathan Ormond is going to stay out. Trent Dunham is in. So Ormond, 1 extra lap of running here. Almriego, Chris Washer, Diego Yepes, they all were on pit road the same lap as Jose Mills. So now comes the strategy. Nathan Norman started this race from shotgun, and the caution is out. Yellow flag waves. We should get a restart, but who will be lined up where is going to be the big question. Wow. Who's on the lead lap? Who was able to take service? Oh, it was right on the front straightaway here off of turn 4. I wonder if somebody either ran out of fuel or may have tried to cross lanes to get to pit road. But the caution waves. 5 laps to go that time by when Nathan Ormond hit the line. He's looking for the pace car, and NNSCRA officials going to have their work cut out for them trying to sort where everybody is. Of course, it will change as well once pit road is open for the lead lap cars. Everybody trying to get around the pace car here. I think all these drivers should be able to go around the pace car. Well, who even brought the caution out is the next question. Oh my gosh, Stephen Colon in the 47, and that car looks like it is out of fuel. And remember, Cologne came into this race the cut line driver. That right there could be a glimmer of hope for one Anthony McCrory. Oh my gosh, are you kidding me? Who was it that got Cologne now? Oh my gosh, it was McCrory. So there goes that idea. Cologne and McCrory, some more playoff contenders, bringing out this caution that effectively has taken Anthony McCrory out of advancing into the next round. Cologne, I think he's still going to be safe, even though he's going to be a DNF. Matt McIntyre and Bruno Harumi, I'm being told as well, have just gone back to the garage area. So, all right, let's go back. Let's see what happened, and then we'll come back and try and figure out who is where, because I'm not necessarily certain that these guys even know. We've got some drivers that got trapped behind the pace car on the tail end of the lead lap, I'm being shown as well, so that's going to make restarts rather interesting. So I'm gonna go out on a limb and say maybe Stephen Cologne ran out of fuel off of turn 4. I feel like somebody did. Nope, just a stack up of drivers trying to figure out who's going where. Some drivers pitting, some drivers staying out. Bruno Harumi in the 21 is the car we're going to be focused on. Now watch ahead. Daniel Bouchard goes way low. Ryan Brommer gets on the brakes. He turns left in front of JT Bryant. And when Harumi was reacting to that, Stephen Cologne, Bradley Ream never slowed up. And Cologne runs into the back of Bruno Harumi. And then the front straightaway is going to be completely blockaded up. And you saw Anthony McCrory was the next car entered in the vicinity. Oh my gosh, right there. Bruno Harumi gets flipped upside down after the contact from Bradley Ream. McCrory's just pinballing down the front straightaway from the inside wall to the outside wall. Harumi continues to flip. Right there, you just saw a piece of debris fall. That was that fell right between the two pit walls there. That was the left front quarter panel of Anthony McCrory. And then Matt McIntyre coming to the vicinity. He never slowed. And he clobbers the 21. And remember, too, because the caution was out, that's why I think McIntyre never slowed. He was racing back to the yellow, trying to pick up as many spots as he could. Coming back to the start-finish line. Let's see if we can get another look at this, because there were some really hard shots right there. And in that vicinity, you had 2 more playoff contenders. I don't know how well this is going to show it. You'll see Harumi in the 21 right there, get hit in the right rear quarter panel. Cologne never slowed down. And then watch here, when McCrory comes into view, he's going to sideswipe the 74 after contact with the 47. Right there, into the 74. And that kind of forward propelled the 74 Bradley Ream into the passenger side, or actually the driver's side door of Bruna Harumi, sending her into that barrel roll. And you saw McCrory kind of pinball. Now watch right between the pit walls there. There's the debris falling from the sky. Fortunately, it landed there and not on top of one of the cars that was on pit lane. And then Matt McIntyre. Oh, gosh. Those are some hard hits for Bruno Harumi. Let's see if we can take an onboard with that car. Might have to do the in-car cam. I'm almost certain that the roof cam did not survive. As a wild ride for the 21. Now here comes the shot from Bradley Ream. And you think it's all over, but here comes Matt McIntyre. Wow. That is some heavy impact. And now we got to figure out who is where. Lights should be going out atop the pace car this time. Let's update first the drivers out of the race. Bradley Ream, Anthony McCurry, Matt McIntyre, and Bruna Harumi. They'll get credited 24th through 27th. They join Sean Hart and William Micros in the garage area. With McCurry's DNF, that now guarantees that Sean Hart and the 95 team will be moving on to the round of 8. Stephen Colon continues on, albeit one lap down, so the 47 team is locked in as well. It is official, the 93 and the 55, they will be the teams eliminated from advancing into the round of 8, regardless of what happens here on this final restart, which will be a one-lap shootout. So Daniel Bouchard you see here out in front, but he is not the race leader. You've got a bunch of drivers that are on the tail end of the lead lap. Bouchard, Brommer, Belding, Fitzwater, Washer, Yepes, Almriego, and Ali Rain. You right now have 14 drivers basically to settle this thing out, and Chris Dollerton is the leader of that group of 14. Zach Rogers second, Trent Dunham third, Jessica Shelton's now fourth, Dave Campos in fifth, Jose Mills sixth, Nathan Ormond in seventh, eighth, Andrea Serra, Danny Wells, and Stephen Pollard the third complete the top 10. Then it's RJ Bishop, William Brock, JT Bryant, and Tristan Allen in the 14th position that are the drivers that have an opportunity here to get this victory. Let's bear in mind for a couple of teams up here, the 8 car there of Dave Campos, the 09 of Stephen Pollard III, and the 77 of JT Bryant. Playoff contending teams, if they were to win here today, that's 5 bonus points they would carry into the round of 8. It would put them automatically, their team, into the number 1 seed for the next round. But Chris Dollerton has led 26 laps so far here today. He wants to lead the important one. Zach Rogers has ridden behind him for most of the second half of this race. He doesn't want to do that here, and Trent Dunham spent the early portion of the race out in front for 22 laps. He wants to get the victory for back-to-back races for the 1 car. Green flag in the air, white flag in the air. 1-lap shootout here at Indianapolis, and Ali Rain's going to dive to the bottom. Dollerton leaves the inside line open for Zach Rogers, and Rogers is going to take advantage. I'm not certain why Dollerton stayed up there, but Zach Rogers goes to the point. Trent Dunham now going to look to the inside. Jessica Shelton there as well, as Rogers gets pinned behind the 65 of Ali Rain. Dunham will go to the lead. And Ali Rain may be out of fuel. Ali Rain, I think, is out of fuel in front of the leaders. Trent Dunham is clear for the top spot. Shelton into second. Rogers into third. Trent Dunham off turn 4 for the final time. He'll get the victory here today at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. He will cross the yard of bricks. And I believe that is Trent Dunham's first victory of his Duracell Cup Series career. Back-to-back weeks that the 1 car goes to victory lane. Cody Lamas did it at Road America. Dunham does it today here at Indianapolis. And yeah, this is Trent Dunham's first full-time season in the Duracell Cup Series. It is his first career win. And it's a big one here today at one of the Crown Jewel races. The Sega Chevrolet team out of Michael Norman Motorsports are going to get to kiss the yard of bricks here today. And what a wild final lap that was. Lap traffic. 65 running out of fuel in front of the race leaders. Dollerton, who led us to that green and white flag, he crosses the line in 4th. Dunham, who was, I believe, 4th on that restart, crosses the line in P1. And we will go a perfect 3 for 3 here in the first round of the playoffs of none of our playoff contending teams taking a checkered flag. All non-playoff drivers winning the first 3 playoff races of the year. Standings are official, and Trent Dunham is your winner here today from the Brickyard. Shelton brings it home in 2nd. Zach Rogers will finish in 3rd. Chris Dollerton will have to settle for 4th. Jose Mills in 5th. Dave Campos in 6th. Nathan Ormond was 7th. Andrea Serra 8th. Danny Wells 9th. Stephen Pollard III in 10th. And then the rest of the drivers that had a shot there, William Brock, RJ Bishop, Tristan Allen, JT Bryant, in 11th through 14th, but I believe from Rogers on back, they were the drivers that were held up when Allie Rain ran out of fuel down the back straightaway in front of all of them. So basically it was just Dunham and Shelton that were able to get by, but Shelton didn't have enough time to reel Dunham in for the victory. He had the battling up ahead of them as well. Ryan Brommer completed the top 15. Belding, Washer, Bouchard, Fitzwater, and Yepes all finished in the top 20 and on the lead lap. Almeriego finishes a lap down in 21st. Stephen Colon saw him coming to pit road. He was out of fuel in 22nd. Ali Rain also ran out of fuel, lap down in 23rd. And the rest of these drivers we already documented before we had that one-lap shootout. In the garage area, Bradley Ream, Anthony McCurry, Matt McIntyre, Bruno Harumi, Sean Arndt, and William Micros. Well, we had ourselves a wild one here for the first elimination race, but we knew there on that final one-lap shootout pretty much who was moving on, who was being eliminated. So the point standings have been calculated. They have not been reformatted. You'll see the reformatted point standings next week, but here is a look at what the point standings look like at the conclusion of today's race. And as we basically already knew, the 93 and the 55 teams are going to be the two first teams eliminated from the playoffs. So a tough break there for Nick Gunther, Anthony McCurry, and Mike Teller in the 55 team, Mike Wayne Robinson, William Micros, and Andrew Davis in the 93 team. They'll just look to finish out the season with a couple more checkered flags. The teams moving on, though, will be the 77, 09, 19, 95. Very lucky they had that cushion between themselves and that cut line, because with the DNF today by Sean Arndt, they could have very well been eliminated. The 78 team moves on. 31, 47, and 8 will all be moving on to the next round of the playoffs, which begins next week at Hillside Raceway. So that should be a lot of fun. Hillside, a mile racetrack, high banks, races somewhat like a super speedway, a small super speedway, so could be the wild card race of the next round. Of course, we got Lime Rock in Arizona to finish it out as well, but who here of these Elite 8 is going to maybe make the first step towards advancing into the round of 6? We'll have to wait and see. But thank you all for tuning in to today's race here from Indianapolis. Congratulations to Trent Dunham. His first career win, the Duracell Cup Series, is a big one here today at the Brickyard. If you guys enjoyed today's race, be sure to give me a like, subscribe to our crew today. We have shown you full finish results. These were your point standings. You'll see your reformatted playoff points for the round of 8 next week. And until then, I've been Seth Cole. You've been watching another broadcast courtesy of the NNSCRA Offline Racing at its best.